What's up, everybody? It is Matt from Electric All Wheel. Today we have the eCells 5-star 1500 watt 60 volt 20 amp hour battery. This is a 1500 watt rear hub full suspension e-bike, and we are going to add an aftermarket 60 volt 20 amp hour battery with the Datex DX2 dual battery, dual input, dual output combiner from Electric All Wheel. We are pretty excited about this. We do know that eCells sells an aftermarket kit to add a second battery that also includes a dual crown fork with a big old headlight. Right now we don't have that, and we're going to show you how to install an aftermarket battery with the eCells 5-star on the rack. We will leave links for all of the products used in this video in the description below. Remember, you don't have to use the battery that we are using. Just make sure it's 60 volt and your BMS is greater than or equal to 40 amps. You want a good max current on your BMS of the battery that you choose. Ideally, we would actually like to find one that we can fit here on the down tube, but we're going to put one in the rear rack with the Bike Case Big Daddy rack bag. We are excited about that, and we are excited about the placement and having all of the extra range. We have been seeing the addition of a suspension seat post, so keep in mind we do have the Bike Case bump stop suspension seat posts at the Electric All Wheel store, so you can find a link for those in the description below. And then adding that extra layer of suspension to bring this to a full circle cloud-like ride, getting in that Cadillac and just making it smooth as possible. So we'll leave a link for that in the description below. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. It is our primary, and if you're in the area, check out e-bikes of Tampa Bay, Florida. Get in that Facebook group, make an event, and go for a ride with your friends. Stick around to the end of the video where we will give you some range calculations utilizing the Mica toll constant. Here we go. All right, so right now we are going to untuck a lot of this cabling that is in here. Just go ahead and bring it out so that we can get to the battery line for power to the controller. And that's this one. And you can see that it's XT90 connectors. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and snip this loose and take off this zip tie that's holding it together. And I'm going to unplug those. I think we're going to be using two sets of our 12 AWG XT60 extension cables, and they'll come with the adapters from XT90 to XT60. If you're worried about the current limit, think of these as a 35 amp continuous, 60 amp max, and then your next set up at 10 AWG would be 45 amp continuous plus 60. So these will be quite good, and you can actually see some of the gauging here on the wires themselves. So we're going to take our adapters and just plug them in where it fits. And then I'm just going to take my cables and plug them in how they fit. And then because of our consistency in videos, we got some heat shrink tubing, which we will leave a link for in the description below. This is 3/4 inch. And then we're going to use this and just kind of button all this up to make it clean. So now I'm going to take this and just get myself a decidedly okay length on here. It'll just give me some coverage the way I think I need it. Perfect. Now I'll use that piece and just make another one. I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to slip it down around there and then bring it over my connections. Like so. Now what I'm doing is just kind of getting it over here, so when I add the heat, it's just going to be out of the way. Take my heat gun. Now we'll do this one. Just be careful. You can see like the cable sheathing on these will melt, so you don't want to over apply the heat. But we're not worried about that. The cable underneath the individual strands of wires are covered, and that gives us the same coverage that we're seeing inside here. All right, now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and tuck our wiring back up into the bike. Now I'm going to feed this through so it's routed in the same direction as the others. And then I'm going to go ahead and bind all of my cabling. And then I'm going to loosely tie them to these mounts right there. I'm going to take my next set of 12 AWG extension cables and just go ahead and plug those in. Perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my DX2. Now this does come with some 14 AWG cabling and it's complementary as the set, but we're using the 12 AWG, so keep that in mind. I'm just going to go ahead and plug this in. Can't mess it up, just plug it in the way it works. There we go. And then I'm going to get one more zip tie around these using the existing ties. I'm not going to wrench down on it, but I'm going to tie it enough that it's not going to get obstructed. I'm going to bind the two cables together. Perfect. So at this point we have the DX2 hooked up, so I'm going to see if I can get some power to this motor and get it running. Perfect, so we know our setup is good. That's excellent. Now we have the bike case Big Daddy rack bag, and I'm going to use this and then mount it here on the rear rack, and I'm going to get it up close. I'm going to put the opening this way so that we can run the cables in. I'll probably try and route them in a way that can be stabilized, or perhaps we just leave it like this and then bring them in on the side like so. Perfect. Now the reason I like this bag so much is it has these side panniers where you can just open it up and then there's this whole big section of storage. I love that part. And keep in mind this setup doesn't have to be yours, this is just the way I'm choosing to do it, and these are the products that I'm going to use to get it done. I'm going to take my battery. Again, you don't have to use this battery. It could be a down tube battery, some other kind of aftermarket battery that you have. I kept this so it can fit in here and more or less stabilize the battery when it's inside the bag. And that'll protect it from some bumps. Got that in there. There's our charging cable. Go ahead and bring this up, and then I'm going to plug it in. And I'm going to remove the factory connection and then let you see that it's running just off of this second battery. So I already know it will because the display stayed on that whole time when I did the connection. And there you have it. So go ahead and plug this back in. What I'm going to do is run this underneath this handle. There we go. So I'm going to give this one more zip tie right here to hold these cables together. So we like to leave enough maneuverability so that the bike's suspension and the flex, you have all you need for the cable and there won't be an error there or any issue. Now, the post on this is a 31.8 millimeter diameter post, and we went ahead and got a 31.8 millimeter diameter shim, and this comes with the 27.2 seat post. We'll leave a link for this in the description below. And then we also have a C9 suspension seat, and we're just going to go ahead and get that in here for that extra layer of comfort. Chain case extreme loft in the bag. I'm gonna go ahead and put my jacket on the other side. We're going to take this thing out and check out the wobble with the extra weight in the back. See what we got going on there. All right, so here we are. This is around the 20-mile-an-hour mark, and here are my hands. So already I can tell this is tricky because of the torque sensor. So I always feel weird because it will surge, right? If I just give it a little bit more, it surges forward, but there is no wobble with the extra added weight on the rear rack. Even over the bumps that you're seeing, it always comes back to correct. So we're pretty happy about that. That's exciting. Let me see what I can do. No hands. Just pump this thing up. Perfect. See how we're doing here. We see the bumps, we see the speed. We'll confirm that with GPS, so that's good. But it looks like we are in the clear with the weight, so good stuff. Good job, E-Cells, we're liking it. Go ahead and slow down. Now the suspension seat post just adds a whole other element of cushiness. And then the Fat Cloud 9 seat just makes this thing so desirable. It is, I don't fear that feeling of being on it for too long and it just hurting my bum. So I'm pretty happy about that too. I like the fact that I got my jacket with me and I got all my stuff with me that I need, and it's in storage and it's in the bag, and I'm not having to have a backpack. And of course, no wobble. Be on your left. Be on your left. All right. So yeah, now it's just a leisurely ride. I know it wasn't fully charged when I got it out because we weren't up to the 67 volts, but I'm not worried about that. I just wanted function and show the install. So we are very pleased with what's going on here. That gives me confidence for the addition of the E-Cells package for second battery with that dual star front fork and the dual crown. I think it's dual crown, dual star, dual crown, and then the big old headlight. I think that's probably my favorite aspect beyond the dual battery aspect. Of course, that's what we like to do, is add more range. And we definitely like to keep it factory if we can. And so that'll be an exciting addition to this bike. We definitely can't wait to get our hands on it. And then we're gonna actually bring this thing back to a cadence sensor, which, oh my. So I think we'll have to pull the bottom bracket. A couple other things, probably take that one to Brad and let that be the thing so I can get a good video on it and then get you guys the Tarpon Tom fix that you need. Let's see, are we in the clear yet? Let me see, I just want to bust out and get some real speed going. Looks like we're going to be ready, steady. Yes, sir. Here we go. Now we do have the Allscapes on here, and they are a nice quiet ride. They get it done, got the grips. We're still doing, let's see if I can get it up. There's 38. Pleased with that, even with the extra weight. We'll make sure we don't get run over here. Beautiful. Perfect. I do like this bike. Well, there you have it. We have successfully added a second 60 volt 20 amp hour battery to the E-Cells 5-star. We've also gone ahead and added a bike case bump stop suspension seat post. We're seeing across a lot of the groups that people are adding these even though there is dual suspension with the bike. This brings in another level of comfort that is unimaginable, especially if you're going on these long range rides on your e-bike. So it's definitely worthwhile to check that out. I know a lot of you stuck around for the range calculation, so let's just get to it. So the original battery is a 60 volt 20 amp hour, and we added another 20 amp hours in the bike case Big Daddy rack bag. So 20 plus 20 equals 40, multiply that by 60, and you get 2,400 watt hours. And we're going to divide that by 25. And 25 is the Mica toll constant, which says it's 25 watt hours per mile ridden at 20 miles an hour throttle only. And you get 96 miles. Now, of course, if you're riding this bike, you're likely a speed junkie like me, and you're heavy speed. And you know, if you ride the bike like a Hellcat, you get the mileage of a Hellcat. If you ease it out there, you're going to get a much better range. So keep that in mind. If you want to baby your batteries and go the distance, keep it under the 20 mile an hour limit and help with PAS. This bike can do it. This is the torque sensor option, so we know that it's got plenty of range now that we've added a second battery. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. It is our primary, and if you're in the area, check out E-Bikes of Tampa Bay, Florida. Get in that Facebook group, make an event, and go for a ride with your friends. We will leave links for all of the products used in this video in the description below, and we appreciate you utilizing those links to help move electric all-wheel forward. We will talk to you next time.